If you love classic cars or you just like a unique ride, you're in the right place. Coming up next, it's the 4th annual Wounded Warrior Car Show. Welcome to Meet the Team. I'm Heather Mayer, and I'm here at the 4th annual Wounded Warrior Car Show at the Wyotech Campus in Long Beach. We have interviews and highlights, so let's get to it. At the 4th annual Wounded Warrior Car Show, hundreds came out to take in a slice of automotive history while visiting the vendor booths or taking in a bite or two at the food court. Most just wanted to swap car stories. This ever-growing yearly event is held on the campus of Wyotech in Long Beach. We caught up with Tom Stein, VP for Wyotech and a former Marine, who gave us an insight into the school that is at the forefront of automotive training.
We're a trade school by tradition, and we have, right now you're inside our auto section, which I call affectionately called the hangar. We have where our students come in from around the area, around the country, and come and learn their automotive section, and where they can go from a one-year program all the way up to an associate's degree. Our other building hosts the traditional trades of electrical, plumbing, HVAC, and the traditional trades where we have now. So it's a wonderful facility. We're here located in Long Beach. We have 6 Wyotechs across the country, and our focus here is auto and the traditional trades and up to an associate's degree. So it's great. We get students from all walks of life to come in here to start a trade, and as we all know, somebody always has to keep the water running and the lights on, and our students help facilitate that. They're young, they go across the spectrum of age and diversity, so it's really a cool place to work. I love it, obviously. I'm a guy and I'm around cars, so you can't get much better than that.
Absolutely, and we definitely need car mechanics as well.
Yes, we do. People, you know, the economy is tough. People are hanging on to their cars longer. They're not trading them in, so they need, the maintenance has gone up, just like their homes. People aren't selling and buying new homes. They're maintaining or upgrading their homes they live in now. So there's always a demand. Even in Southern California, we're seeing an increased demand, which is great for us.
Absolutely. And it's great that you guys have opened your facilities for our car show today, the Wounded Warriors Car Show, the 4th annual. Tell us a little bit about that and what that means to you and what you guys are doing here, or what we're doing here at your facilities today.
Oh, this is great. The Wounded Warrior Car Show is run by Mike Green, who's a former Marine. Got the idea a couple years ago, approached Wyotech if they could use our facilities, and we said absolutely. So it's the 4th annual. Today we're celebrating Staff Sergeant Tejeda. He'll be presented a car through the Semper Fi Foundation. Wyotech, I have a great personal affection for it, the Semper Fi and the Wounded Warrior, because I too am a 20-year vet of the Marine Corps. So this really helps me still continue to give back to the community, even though I am out of the military right now. And an educational environment, helping out a family, helping out a needy Marine and his family is really a great opportunity for us to do that. So to Mike Green, his whole Wounded Warrior program, and the Semper Fi Foundation, it's just a really great opportunity where we could come in and help and give them facilities to use here for the car show.
The Wounded Warrior Car Show benefits the Semper Fi Fund, which provides immediate financial support for injured and critically ill members of the U.S. Armed Forces and their families. This year, the car show honored Marine Staff Sergeant Tejeda, who was injured in Afghanistan, with a brand new modified 2011 Camaro, which he could drive.
I'm here today because Mike Green and Wyotech have put together the 4th annual Wounded Warrior Car Show, and the money raised here benefit the Semper Fi Fund, and we provide quality of life solutions and financial assistance for our wounded and critically ill service members. So I came today to help represent our fund and continue to put our name out there so people understand what we're doing. We, help these service members, and we help their families transition back into civilian life. So.
Okay, so why did you choose to be a part of a job like this? I mean, what does this mean to you, giving back to the wounded warriors?
Personally, I'm an active duty spouse, so I'm around these families and I understand, and while their husbands and service members are out there sacrificing for our country, the least I could do is come out and help and give my time for those service members and those family members, and just to say thank you.
This is our 4th annual show. Myself, a guy named Mike Green, he heads this whole thing up. He was a corporal in the Marine Corps. I was a corporal. Most of us are Marine Corps. There's about 7 or 8 of us. We put this together. This is our 4th one. And last year we gave over $12,000 to the wounded warriors. Pretty good deal. We're going to have more this year. So anybody feels free to contribute. We think it's a wonderful thing to do.
Tell us why you're here today at the 4th annual car show.
My Marines came out to help out with the color guard. We did the national anthem this morning to kind of kick off the car show here in support of the Semper Fi Fund.
Are you having a good time, and what does this mean to you?
I'm having an excellent time, and it means a lot that you get to see so many patriotic people coming out here to support such a good cause. And it's not just the guys wanting to come show off their cars, but it's actually guys coming around meeting and greeting with us, and they're out here for the cause more so than just to show off their cars, it seems.
Throughout the day, we spoke with several participants who shared with us their unique story in restoring their vehicle, including Skip Grantham, who is a member of Military Vehicle Owners of Orange County.
It's a 1944 Dodge World War II weapons carrier, so it was active in World War II.
Okay, great. Now, are you part of the military or no?
No, I'm not. We belong to Military Vehicle Owners of Orange County. We have a club that we have a bunch of vehicles.
Okay, great. And how did you exactly get a hold of this vehicle, and why this vehicle?
Well, I found it in the recycler at a good price back in 1985. It was pretty rough shape, but me and my sons restored it, so made a project out of it.
Okay. Why did you choose a military vehicle? Why not something different, like a Chevy or something?
Well, I had those in the past. I have to polish them too much. I don't have to polish this one anymore, so It's a lot more fun.
Okay. All right. And can you tell us what is original on this car, if there is anything original?
Everything on the vehicle is original except for the engine and transmission. I put a Chevy small block in it so that it runs better and performs better.
Okay. But you've repainted it and all that kind of good stuff, huh?
Yeah, all original paint. I mean, we repainted it with original colors, and everything is period correct.
Okay, great. Now, have you done any other car shows like this before? Have you been to the last 3 years, or?
Yeah, I've been to numerous car shows. We go to a lot of military parades. We do a lot of things for the veterans. Anything to do with the military, we try to support it as best we can.
So right here we've got a 1915 Ford Model T, is that correct?
Yes, it's also called a touring car.
A touring car, what does that mean exactly?
Well, it used to have a canvas, or actually a vinyl top, that would fit over here, go all the way back and lay beyond this. The problem is when it rained, it had no side curtains, but at least it'd stay off the top. So it's called a touring car. Okay. So it's like the first convertible.
Oh, wow. Well, that's kind of exciting, huh? Yeah. So when did you first get this car, and what made you purchase it? Tell us a little bit about the history behind it.
I've had this for 12 years. It started out as an old Model T, which it's 96 years old now, but for 5-6 years it was just an old car, and then I decided to turn it into what they call a 50s rat rod. This is a rat rod like they built back in the 1950s, called an old school rod. A rat rod is one that has all kinds of rust on it. That one right there, if you can see that car, that's called a rat rod. It's all rusty. This, my wife says, you're not going to get a rat rod. I said, okay, my concession was we'll put primer on it. So that's primer, and it'll never change. It'll never paint this car. It'll never be, it's done the way it is.
Okay, so it wasn't rusty when you first got it?
It was rusty, yeah. But, you know, that's nothing. That's easy to take care of, rust.
Okay, so what kind of condition was it in besides the rust? I mean, was it kind of run down? What have you done to it exactly?
Yeah, well, it's got a 1990 Mustang engine. It's called a 302 cubic inch. It's called a small block engine. And let me tell you the name of this. It's also got a 9-inch Ford rear end and a C6 transmission. It's all Ford. It's actually Ford in a Ford. A lot of these Fords will see Chevy engines in them because they're easy to put in. But the reason this is called a mouse engine is because in hot rod parlance, you take a big muscle car that have the big block engines. They call them rat engines. The physically small block engines, which is 302 it's a physically small V8, they call them mouse engines. And the reason the name of this car is called Mighty Mouse is because it's had some special things done to the engine. So Mighty Mouse has gone through the engine, so it's not just a mouse engine, it's a Mighty Mouse engine. Okay. That's why we got the name.
Gotcha. Okay, and tell us a little bit about Rat Fink here and sitting in the passenger seat.
Ah, Rat Fink. Well, a lot of people your age won't know the Rat Fink, but it goes back to a guy named Ed Big Daddy Roth and a guy named Von Dutch. They used to airbrush cars back in those days, and they used to airbrush Mickey and Minnie on the back of hot rodders' cars. And Walt Disney found out about it, issued a cease and desist order, and as a result of that, they couldn't do it anymore. So Ed Big Daddy Roth says, well, I won't quote what he said, but he said, I'm going to counter that. And he developed a guy called the Rat Fink, and that's how the Rat Fink came to be. So that's the counter to Mickey Mouse.
I love it. It's super unique. And then tell us a little bit about your stick shift here with the skull on top.
Well, these skull shifters, they call them, and this has got an extension on it, as you can see. I can actually take that off. It's pretty hard to drive that way, although I can drive it. It just goes back to the 50s, skulls do, so I had a skull made for that. My phrase to everybody is, we're all going to look like this one of these days. Houdini said, if there's a way back, I'll find it. Nobody's heard from him, so nobody's made it out alive yet, so we will all look like that. So a lot of people like that back in my age, in the 60s. Some of the young kids go, whoa, what is that? But it's just representative cars that were built back in the 50s, which is what this is.
It's very cool. And you do drive this around.
That's my daily driver. You bet I do.
Really?
This is my fun car.
This is a 57 Chevrolet Boyertown SP6. It was a civilian delivery truck, and we turned it into a military hot rod. And it's dedicated to Michael Grimes, who I went to high school with. And he was honor recruit coming out of boot camp in the Marine Corps and went to Vietnam and was killed in March 22nd, 67, going out to try to save some wounded buddies that were caught in an ambush, and he was killed doing it and awarded the Silver Star. So this truck is dedicated to him and all those who have served in harm's way.
Tell us a little bit about the inside of the truck itself. I see that you put a bunch of different things in there.
Well, I've decorated. There's a picture of Mike in there. There's a rubbing from the wall in the Vietnam Veterans Wall in D.C. You can go up there and have a rubbing made. There's the rubbing in there with Mike's name on it. I've got pictures of the different services in there and some other signs in there. Camouflage seats, headliners made of military canvas, the seats out of an A4D Skyhawk. So basically we had license to do what we want because it was a civilian delivery truck, but I tried to give it a complete military theme. And then the outside, basically I put the numbers and insignia where they should be on a military vehicle, and the color is an olive drab that was used from 57 on through Vietnam. So we tried to make it look like a military vehicle. And the insignia on the side, the cars, those are missions. And it's got a built 350 engine in it, a Camaro clip front end with disc brakes, Lincoln rear end. And so it runs pretty doggone good.
Go ahead and tell us how you first got this car.
Okay, a good friend of mine, Don Maddox, who lives in Arkansas, had bought this in Eureka Springs, Arkansas, and had it in his car barn. And I went back to visit him and fell in love with it because it was so ugly. And about a year later, said he was gonna sell it. So he was coming out here anyway with an empty trailer to pick up a Mercury. So I said, throw it on the trailer. And that was in December of '96, and it took us 2 years to do it because it was really a mess, and rusted, and we yanked everything out of it. And so it took 2 years, and I got it on the road in spring of '99. Yeah.
Okay, so the reasoning behind getting this truck as well, I mean, was it when you first saw it, then you realized, well, this could be something that could be dedicated to my friend, or like?
Well, at that time, I'm a Chevy guy, and it was a '57 Chevy front end on it, and so I just liked it because it was different. And I really had to think a lot. I was going to make it like a rolling 50s diner out of it, have a diner scene in the back, you know. And then when I started looking at the sheet metal, it was too wavy and screwed up. And then I've always wanted to have a military vehicle. So I said, yeah, let's do that. And then instantly Mike's name just popped right there immediately. And then that became the driving force of the whole project, because I really had something to work for then, you know. It really meant something, you know.
Okay, we're here with Larry and BB Bonnell. We've got a Ford Fairlane. You said this was a 1957, is that correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about this car. What's the history behind it? Were you guys the first owners? Have you guys restored it? And if you have, what's part of the original car and what's restored?
I have a 57 Chevy convertible that I've driven for years, and she wanted a Ford convertible. And I started looking, and I found one about 5 blocks from where I live, which is in Lawndale also. And a guy, air conditioning guy, came by and told me he had it, and that did I want to see it? And I said yes. So I went into his backyard, and it's underneath a tarp, blankets, quilts, pallets, all kinds of stuff covered up, and he uncovered it. And I said, you want to sell it? And he says no, he was going to give it to his son-in-law. So he gave it to his son-in-law and took it to Texas. And 2 years later, they got a divorce, so he brought it back to the old man. The old man called me and asked me if I wanted to buy it, and I said, yeah, I'll be right over to get it.
Oh, wow.
So I went over and got it, and then started working on it. And took me 4 years to do it.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you guys are the second owners. Second owners. And what did the car look like in its original condition?
This was a pretty nice shape. There's no rust on the car. It's a California car, and being a convertible with no rust is amazing. And so all the parts were there. It wasn't something that I had to find a lot of parts for, which made it a lot easier.
Okay, so what have you guys restored? Pretty much like the entire thing, I mean, or a lot of this is still original?
Yeah, a lot of it. Everything on here is pretty much original. The restoration part of it, I didn't do the paint. It was done by Fred Six. The upholstery was done by MSA Upholstery. Chroming was done by Decor Plating. Things like that, but all the assembly and detail work, I've done all that myself.
Okay, great. And why this color? I love it. I mean, the two blues together just look great.
I've seen it on a calendar, these two colors. That's why we had so much trouble with the top. I said the top has to be the same color as the bottom, and we just couldn't find it, so he finally had to go to leather.
What I have here is a 1955 Chevrolet Belair Sport Coupe. I've had this car for about 12 or 14 years. I bought it from the second owner. He used to work for me. Since I've had it, I've turned every nut and bolt on the car. It's got a 1986 Corvette engine that's supercharged. It has an 87 Corvette transmission, overdrive automatic. It's got air conditioning, power steering, power disc brakes, positive traction rear end, and everything. This car was bought in '55 in Illinois, and the first owner got smacked in the rear quarter panel when it was a brand new car. So they rebuilt it rather than totaling it, because it was worth whatever a brand new car was worth back then. So this paint was put on it in 1956, and it's starting to fall off, so I'm going to have to paint it soon. But this car has been everywhere that I've gone. I've had it in numerous shows. It's a fun car to drive in.
So was the air conditioning and everything like that inside of the car, or did you